Hey everybody, welcome to tonight's IncrediChat. This is IncrediWeek Part 2. We had a lot of great programming last week, and we're back this week with even more. Tonight we are very excited to have a really special guest star with us. As you can see, and we've talked about this a lot in the last few weeks, there's a new Scooby-Doo movie that came out. We talked about Scoob and things like that, and Hanna-Barbera cartoons. But tonight we're going to be bringing it back to somebody who kind of got this whole Scooby revitalization movement going again, and I think it's been about 20 years, and we'll talk more about that. This movie back here in front of me, Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island. We were just goofing about it in the back. This is where the monsters are real, and this was the first of, a series of, I guess they've done like almost 30, 40 Scooby-Doo movies now, but tonight we have the voice of Scooby-Doo from Zombie Island. He was also the voice of Scooby and Shaggy in this film. Well, he was Scooby in this one, and he was Scooby and Shaggy in which is Ghost, Cyber Chase, and the Alien Invaders. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the IncrediChat this evening, Scott Ennis. Hello, Scott. Uh-oh. What's going on there?
Well, how you guys doing?
How are we doing tonight, Scott?
Like, hey, man, we're doing groovy, ready to talk Scooby-Doo. Right? Well, boy.
So tonight, again, it's going to be a Scooby party. We've been talking for weeks on, and I was sharing with you, I'm a big Scooby-Doo fan here. I know you're a big Scooby-Doo fan.
So am I.
And Scooby-Doo mania is like ongoing continuously. Scooby's not going anywhere, ever, anytime soon.
It's gone for a long time. It's going to be around when you and I are gone.
Absolutely. 50 years this year, which is pretty...
50 years this past September, so yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and I mean, you play an important part. Like I was saying, you were part of this movie Zombie Island and a couple of the films that followed it, and I know you did a lot of other Scooby things too. So I mean, let's get started with that. We know that Don Messick unfortunately had passed away. How did you get the role of Scooby-Doo?
Well, I've been doing it ever since I was a kid. So I had befriended Don Messick, who was a dear friend of mine. And in fact, I have my Don Messick pictures here. I got my Don Messick pictures. You see, there I am, right there with Don Messick. See there? What? Anyway, I had befriended Don, and he knew I did the voice. And long story short, I'm in radio, so I had done a little parody song to an Alabama country group song called Shaggy on the Boulevard. And well, it's called Shaggin' on the Boulevard. I made it Shaggy on the Boulevard. And a guy kept calling me, asking me, he said, man, you should call Hanna-Barbera and you should play him that. And I thought, I really don't want to borrow any trouble. But after about 30 days, the guy hounded me. I finally did. I reached a guy named Bodie Chandler, who was the head of the music department at Hanna-Barbera. And he said they're filming a new Scooby movie and they're looking for a new Scooby, that Don Messick was ill. And I'm like, wow, I didn't know that. I mean, I know Don really well. And so I auditioned, and over the course of about a month, I won the part. I beat out Dave Coulier. Cut it out, Uncle Joey.
He almost was Scooby. Wow.
In fact, he wrote the foreword in my book. So, but it's that's how I got in the door. And then, of course, it was a whirlwind. It was just one thing after another. It was a great honor, a great experience. I'm still happy to be doing. The good thing is there's enough Scooby to go around. Frank Welker's been doing Scooby now for some quite time, and Matthew Lillard's been doing Shaggy. We kind of trade off. Still, I still do a lot of the classic sound stuff when Hanna-Barbera and Warner Brothers need that, or a product, a licensee needs that classic sound. Mm-hmm. They call me in to do all that stuff. I did the Super Bowl ad with Scooby. I just did the Build-A-Bear. I did some of the talking toys for the new movie. So there's enough Scooby to go around,
Gotcha. So let me ask. So Zombie Island came out, and like you said, they said Don was getting ill at this point in time. Did you? I mean, he was still around when Zombie Island.
Yeah, well, here's the deal. The day this is the truth. I'm not sure on the date because I don't have it in front of me, but. The day that they officially gave me the part, like in a press release, I remember seeing it scroll across the bottom of CNN, was the day Don passed away.
Oh, wow.
So I always say that I feel content at the time on who they passed the torch on to,
Mhm.
that Don did, because Don used to always tell me, don't tell them that you knew the voice of Scooby-Doo out here or they'll fire me. Of course he's just
Oh, wow.
having fun, but yeah, there's, it's a great role. And I'm just, like I said, I'm glad to be still a small part of something that is this iconic in the world,
It's a huge thing. So getting to know Don, certainly getting to know that Scooby-Doo sound. How
wrong? Where?
what goes into that? But that's what I was gonna say. What goes into that sound?
Get the dog off my island, wrong? Where?
Because I mean, certainly another one of Don's characters who you also do is Astro.
Right, roll boy.
Stop that, Astro. You're getting slobber all over me. That's Roy Retson.
What's the difference? What is the difference between?
There's not really a lot of difference. They both play dumb dogs, but they always seem to find their way to the rescue to be the center of attention on the show. So, Bill Hanna used to always say that, or no, excuse me, Jay Silverman, the president of CBS, said if you want to have a hit show, put a dog in it. And that's so true, and that's what they did. If you'll notice, back even with Goober and the Ghost Chasers and all these shows years ago, they would always have a dog that was the center of, like Muttley and Dick Dastardly. Muttley always played the center role of this show. So, it's just, you want to have success, you put a dog in it.
That's right.
And you do Muttley as well.
You do Muttley? That's for record. And then you've got,
there's Boo Boo Bear. And, I live in Jellystone. And in my, here comes,
hey, this is Yogi Bear. And I live in Jellystone. And I like to steal picnic baskets. Hey! And then, of course, Don Messick, he always had that great announcer voice. He'd go, okay, Yogi, don't be stealing picnic baskets, So he'd always do those narrator parts too,
Yeah. So let me ask you, going in, so at this point then, Scooby-Doo and Zombie Island, it was yourself, it was BJ Ward as Velma, Mary Kay Bergman, the late Mary Kay Bergman was Daphne, and of course you had
Mark Hamill was great. God, working with Mark Hamill.
That's why Mark. I mean, gosh. So that's what I was going to say. I'm not even thinking about Mark Hamill. You're going in there with like Frank Welker, who this character had been. I mean, Scooby has been around for 50 years. Frank had been with Scooby for at that point it wasn't 50 years. It was like 30 years.
Right.
But what was it like walking in with some of these people who?
Let me tell you something. You got Adrian Barbeau sitting on one. Actually, for me, it was Frank Welker. You had Adrian Barbeau on the other side of Mark Hamill, and I'm the nobody in the middle here, doing probably the most iconic character of the show.
Yeah. And
you got to sometimes pinch yourself, because as a kid, this was my goal, and I'm actually doing it. No pun intended, but so yeah, it was really surreal to have this happen. To be a part of, and Zombie Island was the last official recording at the old Hanna-Barbera Studios on Cahuenga Boulevard out there before they shut it down. So to be a part, I mean, it was eerie, because I would go walking down the hallways at lunch, and the lights would flicker. It was like a ghost town, and everybody had cleaned out their offices and moved to the new Cartoon Network studios, and we were still over there doing this last movie. And Bill Hanna and Joe Barbera were still in their offices, and still was Iwa Takamoto, who drew Scooby, And I would go back during the lunch, and I would pull up a chair, and Bill Hanna would tell me to sit down, and he would chat with me and told me how proud he was that of the Scooby that I did and everything. And so those are moments that you can't take away from somebody,
Excellent. I just want to say hello to a couple of the friends who are watching us right now. We have Joe Ryan. He's a big fan of Zombie Island here. So hello, Joe.
Hey, Joe, what's going on? Good to see you, buddy.
Johnny Rock is love hearing these stories. And then we have
Johnny
Mary.
Rock. Let me tell you who Johnny Rock. Johnny Rock is a dear friend of mine. He lives in down in New Orleans, and we're working on a movie together called Go Fishing. So anybody that catches this can check it out. It's Go Fishing, the movie, GOFISHIN, the movie. You can find it us on Facebook, but make sure you like that. Johnny, we play the Thibodeau cousin brothers, and it's a funny fishing movie where three goobers go fishing, and one chaos funny thing happens after another. It's going to come out this fall. We got 2 more weeks of principal photography, and then we start editing. But we're really having a blast with this. So I do a few other things besides Scooby.
Well, I mean, talk about that. So obviously, before doing Scooby, you said you had a career in radio. How did you get into a career?
Well, I'm still in radio. I still do radio.
Yeah.
You know, radio has really opened up the doors to a lot of things for me. You know, from my songwriting to acting, voice acting, and doing things that I want to do. It's opened all those doors. So really, you know, my passion, I love radio. I love entertaining for people and creating. I know you got to go potty. I'm talking to my Great Dane, Scooby. You want to come here? Come here. Come say hi to everybody. This is our Scooby right here. Look here. Say hi.
Oh wow! And look at the collar too.
Oh, look at it. Yeah, this is official color right here. We don't put it on unless he goes out. But
that's great.
He's a great dog, and so we got him when he was a little tiny puppy, and his little brother in there is called Scrappy. Imagine that. All right, go on in there now. Go on. I'm on. Go. Yeah.
So we have a couple more comments here. Victor Romero, he wants to say, Scott, you're really awesome at HB voices.
Right.
So, and I mean, Victor, if you've been listening and you know Scott, he has done a ton, and he already did a bunch tonight, and he's great. Like he knew Don, and he's worked with the greats there.
Who? Okay, yeah. Okay, so you're talking. Oh, who are you talking to? I'm catching this now. Okay.
I'm going to say I'm looking at Victor Romero, and then
yes.
what's that?
So Victor, who's Victor? Is Victor's worked with these people?
No. Victor's this is our audience right now.
Oh, okay, yeah. Hey, listen. This is my first time doing this, so I'm new at this stuff. Treat me kind.
No worries. So yeah,
I'm just proud I knew how to log into this thing with you walking me through it. So that was good.
My buddy John Lumia, he wants to know a little bit more about your songwriting. What kind of songs have you written?
I wrote Handprints on the Wall for Kenny Rogers, The Paper Heart for Sammy Kershaw. Wow. I've written songs for John Schneider, plays Bo Duke of the Dukes of Hazzard. Shenandoah wrote one about the tragic plane crash of Leonard Skinner called Freebird in the Wind. Man, I'm telling you, I run a mean pressure washer on me. I'll do anything that just, make a buck.
That's great to hear you did for Kenny Rogers. I know he just passed. I mean, did you?
Yes, dear friend of mine, super dude. Really going to miss him. He was a joy to be around.
Okay, I'm just reading some more of the comments. Anna Watt said this is awesome. Victor he's hearing the voices, great job and cute. And Joe Ryan said he's rad to hear the voice behind classic characters. I grew up on a great stream so far. Thank you. And John says very impressive to your songless career too. So.
Well, hello, this is Droopy Dog, and I'm so glad that I could be a part of this big show. And Droopy Dog was one of the big characters, another dog, and there was a Quick Draw McGraw, howdy, this year's Quick Draw McGraw, the fastest gun in the West. And then you have Heavens to Murgatroyd. This is Snagglepuss. What's going on? I'll tell ya. There's just a bunch of them I've done. Popeye, well, blow me down. Skillet and Cobia, let's get that.
Well, we're talking about some of these characters. Martin Bend, he mentioned another character that you did, and he said that how do you put it? The little rascally dog as well, and that was in the Scooby-Doo film. Who did you play in that movie?
Well, there was a puppy power, Scrappy Dappy Doo. Let me at him, Uncle Scoob. Let me at him. I'll rock him. I'll suck him.
Now, let me ask you, as a Scooby-Doo fan, because again, you're a huge Scooby-Doo fan. That character Scrappy-Doo, he with the fans, it's a love him, hate him relationship.
You know what? Listen, Scrappy gets a bad rap. Here's the thing. I think, and this is me, I really think Warner Brothers has missed a major marketing. I think Scrappy could have been as big as Scooby-Doo, but I think they just kind of sloughed it off and let him fall away. By the way, I mean, think about it. If I were them, I'd go, okay, so we got love him or hate him, but most people hate him. So let's just make him a villain. I mean, people love a good villain. So, but they just let it go. And I thought that they would have a star there, a major star. And obviously they thought it was a big enough star to put him in the 2002 movie and let me voice him in that,
But I mean, and spoiler alert, how did you feel about this? I mean, he was the...
Well, I'll tell you what. They had me down to do the voice of Scooby in that, and I actually went to Australia, flew to Australia, and I voiced Scooby and I voiced Scrappy. And word was getting out that, well, you know how everybody gets online and starts talking about stuff, whether they hate something already or like it. A lot of rumors about movies get going and whatnot. And somebody had told them that Scott Ennis wasn't thing on the internet. Man, if Scott Ennis had voicing Scooby, this was gonna, suck. Blah 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 blah. And Warner Brothers kind of had a little nightmare situation on their hands because at that time they had already decided to go with Neil Fanning to do. And Neil's a great guy. He lives in Australia, and he was working over there for 6 months, reading the lines in time with the actors because obviously Scooby was going to be CGI'd in. So, but the actors fell in love with him, and he did a pretty good Scooby, and he did his Scooby, and the producers, Richard Suckle and whatnot, they wanted to put their own spin on Scooby. So, but they still had another thing to contend with. They got all this negative press, and they're getting ready to do a huge press conference. And so I get a call from Richard Suckle, and he says, look, how would you like to voice Scrappy in the movie? And I said, I'm in. So I went back in the studio and redid all of my lines in Houston, Texas, and here in Baton Rouge. And we put them in there. And I'll never forget, I was watching the press conference, and a guy goes, can you tell us, is Scott Ennis in the movie? Now, keep in mind, nobody knew that Scrappy was going to be in this movie because they kept it a secret. And they said, is Scott Ennis going to be in the movie? And one of the producers says, all I can tell you is yes. So everybody thought I did the voice of Scooby in that. And what's so funny is even today when you Google, probably 90% of everything has me as the voice of Scooby in that movie. Really? So, yeah, well, because the internet clogged up so much, of people talking about, oh, good, Scott's in it, But I did Scrappy, and I walked out of a movie premiere, and a lady looked at me, and she says, I can't believe you ruined the movie. Blah, blah, blah. She was going off on me, and I just said, lady, I just voiced the character. I didn't add it in. It wasn't my writing. I didn't do it. I just showed up and voiced the character. So people love this. They'll take it serious, which is what I love about them. They're very passionate.
Well, and that's funny, Wick. We were talking a little bit beforehand about the Scooby Gang Zombie Island being like the first time they went up against real life monsters, and
right.
Somebody here just mentioned it. Noah Gibson said Scrappy should have returned in the Curse of the 13th Ghost movie that came out last year. I don't know if you saw it, but I
thought so too. You know what? I would love to get the rights to Scrappy-Doo. I would do a whole series, a whole thing of songs on him. I am on TV. Scooby. You need to go potty? I need to go potty.
You need to take a pic?
Honey, Scooby needs to go potty.
You don't hear that very much.
Yeah. Scooby-Doo, where are you? I'm taking a pee on Daddy's floor.
But in the 13th Ghost, the 13th Ghost movie, definitely. I mean, they utilized Flim Flam again. They actually brought back the models from the show, and they just kind of waved over Scrappy-Doo, which they've done a lot of times. I mean, there's little bits and pieces of Scrappy here and there that we'll see. Like I think one of the smart shows that they did was Incorporated, and like they had little references here and there to Scrappy.
Yeah, and they still. What's so funny is the line that was in the movie where they. Okay, honey, can you let Scooby out? This is my life right here, okay? I am in an episode right now of Scooby-Doo Needs to Go Potty. So
if you need to take a minute,
no, listen, you guys don't go anywhere. Just ask me a question, but make it slow.
All right, so guys, yeah, so Scott has to step away for a second, but guys, ask your questions. So yeah, we're talking about Scrappy-Doo here tonight. We are talking about Scooby-Doo. We're talking about Hanna-Barbera cartoons. There's so many great things to talk about, as you can tell, and you can see that Scott has been in so many things that we've watched in our childhood, and
He's back.
That was a fast pee for Scooby-Doo.
No, I just let him outside.
All right.
I was going to say back in the movie, there's a line in the movie where they kick Scrappy out of the van, and he goes, "I'm as cute as a Powerpuff Girl." And I love that Warner Brothers, I just ad-libbed that line, and they left that in there, because they were working on a Powerpuff Girl movie at the time. And so they loved the reference, and that got to stay there. That was kind of cool. But, so funny lines that you can, you just add in and think stay in a movie, like in Witch's Ghost. There's a line at the very beginning of the movie where they solve the mystery, and Shaggy goes up to Scooby, and he goes, "Though the original line was 'Give me 5.'" And I was reading that, and I told Davis Doy, the producer of that movie, I was reading, and he goes, What's on your mind?" And I said, well, Shaggy would never ask Scooby to give him 5 because he knows he only has 4 paws. So he would be smart enough to go, like, "Hey, give me 4. And he's like, "Brilliant. We're leaving it in. That's great." So that's little things, I just love attributing to those situations,
Now, when you made these movies, and obviously being a big Scooby-Doo fan, so you said the line with Scrappy-Doo and the Powerpuff Girls, and then the "Give me 5" thing. Was there a lot of room? Did they take a lot of insight from you? I mean, granted,
you bring it to the table. You get a line and you add your thing to it. It's funny, at the very end of Scooby-Doo 2002, the actual movie, there's a scene where the Mystery Inc. is outside and the cameras are on them about solving the mystery. And you see, she goes, "If it wasn't for that Scrappy Cornelius Doo," and you see him over there bringing him out in a cage. And they needed a few lines there. And so they had me saying all these. They wanted me to say, cuss words because they were going to slam the door, the chopper door. And so I was trying to cut myself off, like imagining the door shut. And the producers were like, "Well, look, we'll do that. You just go ahead and say the line, and then we'll do that." So I had them all laughing so hard because I was doing every 4-letter word you could possibly imagine. He goes, "And I would have got away with it too if it wasn't for those meddling," and I'd go every 4-letter word you could possibly imagine. And they were dying laughing, and the more they laughed, the more I gave them. And it was just funny. And of course, they ended up, it came out the way it needed to sound. But it's just fun to go in and put your spin. I'll tell you what's fun is to voice. I voiced the new Scooby-Doo ride in Dubai. Is that how you say it? I have voiced every ride at every amusement park over the last 20 years. Scooby and Shaggy. They have a new one over in Australia now, Warner Brothers World or something over there that has it's a play on the Scooby-Doo 2002 movie, and they make Scrappy the villain in it in the ride, and of course I'm voicing Scrappy. And then I did the new Dubai Warner Brothers World over there, Scooby and Shaggy. Did all the Super Bowl commercials that aired last year with Walmart, the pickup where the mystery machine's out there, and Ruby Snacks. Oh boy, they got a brand new. Check this out. So this is the brand new Build-A-Bear that everybody's talking about.
Unfortunately, with the stores closed, like nobody's going to Build-A-Bear right now. So
you can only get it online anyway now. So
there you guys go, Scooby-Doo Build-A-Bear. Yeah,
that's the new. There you go. It's new Build-A-Bear, and you get the little pajamas that come with it. And then if you squeeze this, listen to this. That's all my voice there. It's a cute little So that's a big plush, actually. And that'll set you back about $45.
But well worth it. Well worth it.
Yeah, but very well worth it.
I didn't even know. I didn't even know about that because, like, I mean, the mall's closed. I haven't seen it. I don't follow Build-A-Bear online, but if I'm walking,
I picked this up at Walmart the other day. Of course, you know me. I collect Scooby. I have a Scooby room too. But this is kind of cool. This is a smartwatch. Scooby-Doo. Oops, let's see here. There we go. Scooby-Doo smartwatch, and it does a lot of things. Video games, clock. You can upload videos, pictures, things like that. What's that?
Is your voice on the watch too?
No.
Recordings. Interesting.
That's a good question. I need to check that out. Because this is a true story. Let's see. Takes photos, videos, and records sound. But yeah, no, there's no voice on it. But what's funny is I have, over the last 20 years, I've kept up to date. I have found probably over 100 different products, talking toys, that have used my voice without me knowing that, I did it. Because I get on the internet and I buy stuff. If it says it talks, I buy it because I collect it.
Yeah.
So it's like, you get something and you're like, oh, a toothbrush. I never saw that thing come in, but I have voiced over 1,000 talking toys and video games and rides over the last 20 years. So that's been a blessing, and very fun. People ask me what the hardest thing is to voice if a movie is difficult. And a movie is not, because you have everybody sitting there going around the table doing the reads. What is very hard is the video games. That's what's ponderous on your throat.
Thinking about that.
They will hand us a script, I kid you not, of about 400 to 500 pages. And this script will have every page will have like 50 lines. And you got to go in and do a line and probably read that line 3 times before they get it right. And then you go to the second line and you read it 3 times and they go, okay, we got it 3. So you're in the studio sometimes 4 or 5 days doing a video game. And it is, and honestly, people think you get rich off this stuff, but it's less money than a movie is, but 5 times, 100 times more work to do those things, And I love doing them, but they are just ponderous,
Well, my son right now, and I just pulled out here. We haven't gotten to this one, but I shared with my son is 7 years old. He's a big time Scooby fan.
Oh, cool.
We haven't gotten to this yet, but you're on this one, right?
It's mine.
Night of a Thousand Frights, and then he's right now working his way through the 2 Wii games. Are you on those ones? I think Spooky Swamp and
yes, I'm on the first one.
The first one.
I did Shaggy on the first one.
And I guess like you're saying with that, listening as he's playing through these games, like it's Scooby or Shaggy falling 10 feet, 100 feet.
Yeah.
And I guess that's very tiresome. So let's talk about that for a minute. Doing Scooby, and then certainly when you're doing Scooby and Shaggy, what do you do for your throat? How do you work that? Because I'll
tell you something. It's very difficult. I drink a lot of tea with honey when I'm doing those, or warm water. And then, of course, I'm a coffee drinker, so I'll throw a couple of cups of those in. But it's funny because my buddy Jeff Blackwell, who has been a part of a lot of me doing these video games, he has a big video booth at his house, and I would get in the video booth, and he would be patched in with the computer, and we'd be voicing this stuff. And, you've got the producer going, okay, let's go back and do that read one more time. And you've read it 50 times already, I would open up the door a little bit and stick my head out, and I'd be like, yes, okay, let's do it one more time, And it's just funny because he would laugh because after you've done the line 100 times, it's like. And I'll tell you another thing that's funny is they'll bring me in the studio to voice say a commercial for Cartoon Network in Asia or something, right? Or in Mexico. And you're doing all this, and they're really trying to get you to do it right and make sure you do the enunciation right and blah, blah, blah. And I go, well, hold on a minute. Are you airing my voice in this thing? And they're like, oh, no, we're going to dub over it.
Well, you're sitting here talking about these rides, and that's the thing. As you're talking about that, I'm like, we don't have Warner Brothers Land here in the United States or Warner Brothers World.
Yeah.
But you're going to these countries doing your American voice
Yep.
with people who don't.
Because I'd always laugh. I'd go, well, how do you? I just, Ruh-roh. How do you do that in Mexico or Spanish or in different foreign languages? I mean, ruh-roh is ruh-roh. How do you do that in another language? I don't understand.
So I have a question here from Pedro Coelho. He's watching us also on Facebook. He said he loves Zombie Island, Witches, Ghosts, and Cyber Chase.
Right.
And he wants to know, obviously we talked a little bit about your radio, you still being in radio, but he wants to know, what is the advice that you have to get into voice acting?
Don't. No. You know what? Here's what I'll tell people, and I tell this to everybody. Let me give you the good, the bad, and the ugly on this thing. First of all, the best way to practice voices is in the shower in your bathroom. The acoustics are always great. And, my wife makes fun of me because she'll go in there and you'll hear me doing different voices and just having fun or singing stupid, funny songs, creating characters. But here's, and you want to try to get into radio first, because radio, you can actually build up a real quick demo of different voices that you do and for radio spots. And then when someone says, can you send me something you've done? You've always got something to send off. That's a lot easier to obtain than to go right into the studio voicing for cartoons and stuff. Here's the bad and the ugly. There's about, I don't know, let's just even do it. There's about 30 to 40 people in LA that do most of all the voices. That means a lot of the producers already know who they're going to call to voice because they work with them, they become friends, and they'll pick up the phone and they'll go, hey, how are you at like a Psycho Batman? What would that sound like? And he does the voice and they're like, oh, I love it. Okay, I need you here tomorrow at 9 o'clock. It's not like they're getting on going, we need a psycho voice Batman, and they're doing a nation search. They're just picking up the phone and they're calling people. And that's how a lot of it's done today. I had a recent, this is a true story. I auditioned to do Tony the Tiger for a new campaign. Oh, nice. And they wanted Tony to sound like Tony the Tiger, but they wanted him to sound a little more realistic because it was for a campaign for a lot of schools that are suffering academically, where they're shutting down sports and stuff because they can't afford to keep it going. Okay. So I went in, and I'm going to tell you something. I am going to brag on myself on this one time here. I nailed it. Okay, when I tell you I was so proud of the audition I did, and I know I'm gloating here a little bit, but I'm just trying to give you an idea of the industry. And my agent called me back, and he's like, dude, you got this. They've narrowed it down to you and another guy out of 50 people. And they really love your Tony the Tiger. And I'm thinking, oh, my God, Tony the Tiger. They're great. Well, hi, kids. This is Tony Tiger. And I gave him that, and that whole deal. And so my agent calls me and he goes, okay, so you didn't get Tony's voice. And I went, oh, who got it? Cousin Eddie? And they're like, pretty close, friend of the producer's guy. And I heard the spot on TV. Mm-mm. It was like, hi, kids, Tony Tiger here. And, make sure that you help out your local schools. And I'm just sitting there watching this commercial, and I'm like, so that's part of the bad in the industry, but you have to be able to take the good with the bad, and you just move on. You move on to another deal. And the only reason I mention this, because normally I don't get on and talk like that, but people want to know. They want to know realisticness in this business. It's a tough business to be in. And I don't even consider myself in it, because I'm in Baton Rouge and they call me for a lot of classic stuff and some narration stuff. But man, I'm not in that 30 people. I'm not in that circle. I'd love to be, but I got my own circle of friends that I hang around. The Johnny Rocks and the Anna Watts and the Tony Lawsons and people of the world, my friends. And that's who I enjoy spending time with and doing my magic with, Mm-hmm. And Scooby, I owe a lot of gratitude to Bodie Chandler, Colette Sunderman, and people that got me involved in this and gave me a shot at fulfilling a childhood dream. I hope to continue to do it. They obviously still call me, and I'm happy to do it. People, it's not even about the money anymore. I just love making kids and people smile that love these characters,
Mm-hmm. I feel like carrying a legacy. Been around.
Absolutely. It is. It's a true legacy. And Scooby-Doo is bigger than anybody that owns it.
Well, it's funny. We talked about like Scooby-Doo, and you mentioned a missed opportunity with Scrappy-Doo, and I guess we can go a little bit into this whole fan part of it. Is they have this incredible wealth of Hanna-Barbera characters that maybe after this new Scoob movie, and I'm assuming you probably saw Scoob, maybe this is going to open the door for these characters that have been around for 60, 70 years.
Well, here's the thing, I've had people, they ask me what I thought of the new movie Scoob, and I always started off with this. Here's the deal. I have to answer this, and to do it right, I have to be honest with myself. And I feel that, Scooby-Doo, like I said, as a character and watching him on the big screen, it's Scooby-Doo. The animation was amazing in this movie. They did great. They brought it to a whole new life, 3D, 4D. It was great. People ask me, well, tell me really what you thought. Well, what did you really think of the movie? And I thought, well, you've got these people such as myself, even Matthew Lillard and Frank Welker. Of course, Frank did Scooby in the movie. But, everybody else that's been doing these voices for years are very well and capable of doing these because really they are the characters. Mm-hmm. And when a studio comes in and hires what they think are A actors to sell more tickets, mm-hmm. I disagree with that. I don't think you're selling any more tickets because who's the guy that voiced Shaggy in this?
Will Forte.
Yeah. Okay. I'll be honest with you, and I say this humbly speaking. Until I found out that he was voicing it, I'd never heard of the guy. Hmm. Honestly, I didn't. I didn't even know who he was. I had to Google him up. And I'm thinking, okay, so you passed over Matthew Lillard or myself to hire somebody else to really imitate Shaggy. I saw him on Good Morning America, and they said that the producer said, we don't want you to, basically put your own spin on it. We don't want you to sound like Scott Ennis or Casey Kasem or Matthew Lillard. We want you to do your own deal. And I'm like, okay, so you want Jack Nicholson to star in the movie, but you don't want him to sound like Jack, So I'm kind of like, I don't understand that. You got Casey Kasem who works so hard to bring that character to life, to like, hey man, to sound like Casey Kasem. And then to bring that cartoon character to life, that's what people grew up and want to hear, And so I just think it's I don't know if it's right to do that, So I mean, it'd be like Disney saying, we're going to hire Jack Nicholson to voice Winnie the Pooh in the next deal because it's Jack Nicholson and we think we can sell tickets. So then you got kids, right, watching this, and even people who grew up with it that are diehard fans, hearing Jack Nicholson go, hey, listen here, Eeyore, won't you come over here and put my tail back on? Boo-hoo-hoo. I got a rumbly in my tumbly. But the producer turns around and goes, I know, but it's Jack Nicholson. Isn't it great? No, it's not. So that's kind of where I am in that. I mean, I thought, the sound, the music, everything was great. But I just hope they go back to, and it didn't even have to be me. Matthew Lillard's great too. I love him. He's a great guy. And, I'm glad that they stuck at least with Frank Welker on Scooby. Because if they'd gone with another guy to do Scooby, I think I would have thrown my hands up. At some point, you got to I have passion and love for the characters. So I'm not going to lie. I just, I'm a fan first. First and foremost, I am a huge Scooby-Doo fan. That's how my love for the character started. That's how it will end when I'm done. And I'm glad, again, to be a small part of a big shoe to fill.
Yeah. No, I mean,
small to fill, you know?
No, and well said. Like, I'm just looking at a couple of the comments here. Like you were talking about how you've been a part of this. Mike Reese says it for you, definitely. It's also a gift to be able to bring this to the world and contribute as you have with the roles that you've done for the Scooby world.
Yeah, and I appreciate that. And listen, I want to tell everybody, if you are a diehard Scooby fan, if you go to I'm a shameless plug here, but I got some great stuff on here, and I want to share it with the world. But if you go to onescottshop.com, that's ONE scottshop.com, I have everything up there. I have a Scooby box that we're selling. That's called Scooby Snack Box. Scooby Snack a Goodies box. Oh, well, you just need to hit the shop link when you go, and it takes you right there. But it's got my artwork on there. Like, here's one of my paintings I did for the COVID-19. I did this. Oh, we got this painting up there. They get numbered. That's up there. I've got a box that'll choke a horse. Everything from my book.
And I put that right up on the top there too, so everybody can see.
What's that?
I put it right on the text.
OneScottShop.com, please. You got these. These are hard to find. I got the little kids' glasses.
Oh my god!
Put the Scooby movie up. We got Scooby socks that we got in this box. This is kind of cool. It's all the movies that I brought to life. We signed that. We've got a ton of stuff. A lot of stickers. Scooby snacks. I'll tell you something I have up right now that I did that I got, I think, 25 of them left. We only had 30. But this is sterling silver. I'll just hold this up. It's on the site. We deliver these at the end of June. And if you're a true Scooby-Doo fan, I'm on a necklace that is just amazing. This thing is rough-tugged, tough. It's not a cheap little thing. I think we got them up for, I don't even know, I think $150 or something like that. But we only have 25 of them left. And I share that because people who are Scooby-Doo fans love this stuff. And I've got a bunch of things that I've had for years in storage that you can't buy anymore that are on this site. And I love to share it. Like I said, all my paintings and things like that are up there. And they're not that expensive. So, folks, don't forget, check it out, onescottshop.com.
No, I'll leave it up there. Like going back to what we were saying, we had some other good comments here. Lee Cannon said about the voicing, love to speak your mind. Noah Gibson was saying about the celebrity.
Lee Cannon's a great guy, like Lee.
And then Victor Romero was talking about, again, the voices. He didn't think Scoob was that great and how they changed the personalities, some of the lesser known characters. I mean, I think for characters like Blue Falcon and Dynamite and Captain Caveman, they just, I mean,
you didn't have to add those into the show. Here's the deal. You got two of the most iconic characters in the world, Scooby and Shaggy, and anybody else that you put in there. And I get why they did that, because it was more product sales and toy manufacturers. I get it. I would probably, I'll be honest with you, I'd probably do it too. Would I have picked Blue Falcon and a Captain Caveman and Muttley and Dick Dastardly? I don't know. I would like to see them in their own Hanna-Barbera universe. A Wacky Races is what we need again. Like a really high-def 4D Wacky Races,
Like I think Dick Dastardly, because I mean you're a classic Hanna-Barbera fan too. I've always associated Dick Dastardly as being like Yogi's foil.
Yeah.
So
well, here's another thing. The guy they got to voice Dick Dastardly, I forgot who the guy's name is.
Jason.
Jim Cummings is the voice. He does Dick Dastardly now, and the guy's amazing. He does Winnie the Pooh, Tigger. I worked with him on Zombie Island. You have a guy that sounds like Paul Winchell, who was the original voice of Dick Dastardly. He also did Gargamel in the Smurfs, and just an iconic character. And you get a guy that comes along like Jim Cummings, who is just incredible. I mean, the guy sounds just like him. Oh my God, what a blessing. And then you're going to throw that villain, that very recognizable villain, into this Scooby-Doo universe, and the first thing you do is go, let's hire somebody else to voice it. It makes no sense. It makes no sense. And I just, nowhere, I guarantee you, nowhere, if you had used the original actors in these movies, nobody would have said, hey, why didn't they get a star to voice these movies, like some A star? First of all, I mean, most of the stars in the movie weren't even A stars. They were like D, E, F, G stars. And so, and then, you hear Dick Dastardly, and the first thing out of his mouth, I went, that's not Dick Dastardly. It's not even sound like him, Am I being too harsh?
No.
I get passionate. My wife, tells me you shouldn't do that. And I probably shouldn't. But again, you know what? I've read every single, people talking about this. And that's what everybody's saying. And they're saying the exact same thing I'm feeling. And look, I'm not even saying it had to be me, period. Didn't have to be me. But you passed over Matthew Lillard. You passed over Jim Cummings. These are people that are just iconic in the business. And you're just going to, thanks for the past 40 years, we're going to go with somebody else. I mean, what? Well, here's one for you. Will Forte doesn't wake up every morning and go, I'm Shaggy, I mean, he probably has for the last couple of weeks. But, I've been doing this character for all my life, since I was a kid. Okay. And I have passion for him. Recreated the scenes in my head before I go to bed as a kid. And I was friends with Don Messick. I was friends with Casey Kasem. I had history. I grew up and I learned the voices, and I had passion for them, and empathy and sympathy, and I became the characters in my mind. And I help a lot of children and all this stuff. And there's storylines behind these. There's real meaning behind them. And you have a guy that just walks in and goes, "Let's get this over with. I gotta go down to Shoney's and eat breakfast with the family. And give me the lines. What's the shake? Okay, Scoob, come on over here. Okay, are we done? I gotta go." And he throws the mic down. And you got guys over here like Matthew Lillard and myself, and in the good Lord's name of Casey Kasem, and you're like, who we eat and breathe this. It's like a slap in the character's face, And I said it. I'm not afraid to say it. I'm just passionate about this character.
I when they announced I went on to a convention to meet Matthew Lillard, and like you said, what a fantastic guy. And it was a hard
Matthew Lillard. I've been watching him on this new series he's on called Good Girls. Yeah. Love him in that. He is I worked with Matthew over in Australia, and he came in. He didn't even have to. He was on his day off. And he came in and sat with me, and he goes, "Dude, I just hear you do the original voice sound." He goes, "Man, you're like my hero." And I said, "No, you mean Casey Kasem?" He says, "No, man, I've been listening to your Shaggy." He goes, "You are my hero." And I was like, "Get out of here." And it was so cool. Like, you show a picture there of Matthew. Matthew Lillard, me over there.
Your book, right?
That's James Gunn. He was the writer and producer. No, he wasn't the producer. He was the writer of Scooby-Doo 2002. And he also did Gardens of the Galaxy and Guardian of the Galaxy. And but he was a great guy. And but yeah, these characters foremost, people ask, they're careful what they ask me, because I try to be as honest as I possibly can about my passion for these characters. Huh. You walk into my room in here, I'll have to show it to you someday, but my man cave is every inch of the room is Scooby-Doo. Everything from the doorknobs to the door handles to the locks to the lamps, everything is Scooby-Doo. And I was at one time, Warner Brothers did one of the DVD collections, did a thing in my house. Mm-hmm. I was up there as one of the world's biggest Scooby-Doo collectors. Now, since then, some girl has beat me out in the Guinness Book of World Records. But remember, my name is Ennis, and there's a little Ennis in every Guinness. And so I'm going to take back that title at some point. I figure I'll just voice as many of my own toys as I can to get over that hump, you know?
Well, that's the way to do it, right? And I know you've showed, because you're doing live feeds over.
It's like what I want to do is I want to go to these people that are beating me on the Scooby-Doo, you know, that have more than I have and go, yeah, but how many of those did you voice?
This is a true statement.
You know?
So we have a couple more minutes. I just want to ask you 2 questions. So I guess we'll start with merchandise before we get into the last question here. And if anybody else has anything else to,
I'm here all week. Try the quiche. Yeah.
So Scooby-Doo merchandise.
Yep.
Do you have an all-time favorite piece of Scooby-Doo memorabilia?
Well, you know, it's pretty cool when you've got your own sucker bobblehead that talks with your voice on it.
Or do you have something very? I assume maybe you might even have something that's very rare.
Stay put.
Okay.
Stay put.
Yeah. So, guys, while Scott's running to get something to share with us, if you have any questions, I mean, this has been a great turnout tonight. Once again, thank you to Scott Ennis for joining us. But yeah, certainly ask your questions, guys. Thank you everybody for interacting and being a part of the IncrediChat tonight and talking about Scooby-Doo, talking about cartoons. It's a lot of fun, and yeah, like as you can see, Scott has a true love for these characters.
Okay, so when I went over to Australia to do the voice, I was on my way out. I was leaving, and I went by Richard Suckle's office, who produced Scooby-Doo, and hanging on his desk was this right here. And I said, "What is that?" And I picked it up, and he says, "This is the mold, the actual mold that they molded Scooby's collar off of for the animation. If you'll look on the poster, that is what they get the mold from to do on the animation of the dog."
For the theatrical films.
Yes.
2000.
And so he gave that to me.
Wow.
So then there's a scene where Shaggy is talking to the girl that he falls in love with on the show, on the 2002, the real movie. I forgot what her name was.
Yeah, but she was one of the kids that gets possessed there.
Yes. And they go to the island, the spooky island, and they're playing on one of those crane deals, and he's talking, and while they're doing the scene, he's putting a quarter in, and the crane's picking up these.
Oh,
so this was a prop made out of stockings and whatnot, and Richard gave me this too. It was one of the tiki heads out of the crane operating thing. So those are like 2 of my favorite pieces that I know that I have that nobody else has. But I think I have a toy in here that was my very, very, very first talking Scooby-Doo. So that's the first one that started it for me. And so when someone says pick one, I just picked the first one that I actually physically came off the shelf with, that they came off the shelf with. And so, but I have got so many of them. I mean, everything from talking doorknobs to room guards to video games, talking pins. If it could talk, walk, they would put my voice in it. I found somebody had a talking shirt, flip-flops, talking big house cushion for like men and women wear the big house slippers, the big heads on them. You squeeze the ear and it'd say my voice, and it's just crazy, the stuff that they come up with. Talking toothbrushes, nothing like brushing your teeth and hearing your own voice in your mouth.
Now, when you're collecting with your Scooby collection, are you primarily just focused on Scooby and Shaggy, or do you open it up to the rest of the gang and the Scooby family, like Scooby-Dum and all these?
Well, I like all of them, but I think everybody plays a part, a small part. Scooby-Dum played his small role for what he needed to, and
he's another one.
Yeah, so and I mean there were a bunch of them. They came up to, it's funny. I think my favorite Scooby-Doo episodes were always when they would meet somebody like, on today's episode of Scooby-Doo, Scooby-Doo meets Batman and Robin, or Dick Van Dyke, or, whatever. But I always like the guest stars, Sonny and Cher, Vincent Price. Scooby-Doo is the longest running continued cartoon in the history of cartoons. It's outbeat The Simpsons, Continuous Longing. There is not another cartoon that has a continuous run of continuous production at some point, like in the history of cartoons. Not even the Flintstones, because they have never stopped making Scooby-Doo stuff. It just keeps going,
Well, it's funny you mention it. A couple of weeks ago, we had Tom Ruger on, and Tom Ruger he started Hanna-Barbera back in the late 70s, early 80s, and he worked on the new Scooby-Doo mysteries. He worked on 13 Ghosts, and then he was really key in developing a pup named Scooby, and that's what he was saying. He was saying the same.
I was a big fan of Pup Named Scooby-Doo too.
Yeah, he said, they tried 13 Ghosts, and I think at that point then they felt like the older classic gang had run its course, so that's why they went right back to the roots and did 13 Ghosts. Not 13 Ghosts, Pup Named Scooby, and again, ongoing, whatever iteration is. So you kind of mentioned a little bit with the guest stars, and this is a good question that we can end on. And Joe said, again, he's going to be, Joe Ryan's an artist. He's going to be leaving us shortly, but he wants to thank you, and it's been amazing hearing you do all the voices.
Hey, Joe, appreciate it. Let me show you real quickly here. This is a looks of like a lot of the characters that I've done. You've got this is let's see, Heavens to Murgatroyd. What's going on? I did Fred Flintstone, Mr. Barney Rubble, and this is Barney. Oh, and I go bowling with Betty and Bam Bam. And this is Wally Gator, I love my ever-loving Everglades. I like to get clean instead of dirty. And then you got,
Hey, this is Shagalong for the Hillbilly Bears. And you'll know that Don Messick did that voice because he also did, what was his name on the Flintstones? Hey, Mr. Flintstone. It was the same thing.
Arnold,
the Paperboy. So a lot of them had the similarities, the same. I did Professor Pat Pending in the video games of Wacky Races.
Oh, this is Professor Pat Pending. Moving in my converter car.
And I came into on X-Force. They met Battle of the Planets, and Casey had gone in and they did 3 episodes. Casey did the first episode, but they thought he sounded too old. So they brought me in to do the younger Shaggy. And so then I looped that show, and then I recorded 3 audios for 2 other episodes. Mm-hmm. But it's called Mega X-Force or something like that. Some cartoon, and they meet S-Force. And holy, right to the Megazords, to the Zerps, and blah, 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 and all these fancy words that I can't even remember. Here's a cool picture we had done of me with the 50th anniversary with of the Scooby-Doo movie, and I got Scrappy in there.
Let me at him, Uncle Scoob. I'll wreck him. I'll suck him.
He goes, I told you, Scrappy, no urinating on Daphne.
Listen here, Pally, you ain't got the scrote for this job.
He goes,
I'll just give him a big dose of puppy power.
Whatever.
I remember that scene too.
It's crazy.
Yeah. So let me ask you, so you worked in the films, you did the 4 movies, and you've been in so many other things. What is your all-time favorite iteration? You mentioned Pup, you mentioned the movies. Do you have an all-time favorite iteration of Scooby and all the different versions that
one of the show? Well, I'll tell you one of the shows I did that they haven't put out on DVD yet that I wish they would, but Scooby-Doo meets Big Bad Voodoo Daddy with Gary Coleman. And if you Google it, it's on the internet. Just type in Scooby-Doo meets Big Bad Voodoo Daddy. And it's got Gary Coleman in it, and who's the other guy that's in it?
I didn't even know about this one.
They did it. It was a 30-minute show for Hanna-Barbera. It's never been put out other than that. There's some bootleg stuff on YouTube. But it's so funny because basically the guys, they rip off and make fun of themselves going to the haunted house.
No, the Night of the Living Do on Cartoon.
Yes, Night of the Living Do.
Somebody was asking about Cartoon Network before if you did all the bumpers.
It's just funny because Scooby meets, they're driving down the road, and I think Freddie says, look, guys, it's Gary Coleman. And so they open up the door, and Gary gets in, and he's like outsmarting Scooby and Shaggy. So they get in, and they're heading to this haunted to solve a mystery or something. And they get in, all of a sudden the mystery machine breaks down. So Gary Coleman goes, I'll fix it. So he jumps up and you see the van going up and you see everybody in the van, doing the whole leaning to one side. And Scooby goes, Raggy, that's where we rolling. It's the boom, 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 the beat, one, done. It's just.
Look for it. If you haven't seen it yet, check it out.
It's hilarious, man.
Wow. And now, did you do the bumpers with Courage as well for Cartoon Network?
Yes, I did all that.
All right. Yeah. I'm just going to ask you, with the Courage bumpers, did you get to record with Marty Grafstein?
No.
You did separately?
I did all my stuff separate. In fact, people haven't asked me how you get the voice of, how'd you do the voice of Shaggy? I've always been doing Shaggy because Casey Kasem on radio, I ran American Top 40 with Casey Kasem. So I'd always get down the, listener writes, Dear Casey, moving up 5 notches this week in our survey. So I had that voice down before I even did Scooby, really. And so after I did Zombie Island, and I love Billy West, he's just a great talent. Mm-hmm. They didn't know that I did Shaggy, that well or whatever. And I was in the studio doing some bumpers for Cartoon Network for Zombie Island. Okay. And so I'm in there doing these bumpers and stuff for the premiere of it on Cartoon Network, and I was doing the Shaggy back and forth, and one of the producers went, Dude, who is doing Shaggy? And I said, that's me. And they're all laughing, going, wow. I wish we'd known that. I mean, we would have had you do all the Shaggy stuff too. And I said, well, so I'm thinking smart. And I said, well, I'll tell you what, I won't charge y'all a dime if y'all want to redo them. Guys, are you serious? I said, I'll do them all. I'll redo them. Well, now I had alternative motives behind that because I had to have something that I had done to Shaggy that had aired, right? Let's be honest. It's easier to get a job when you have a job, right? So I did it for him. And Colette Sunderman called me back. She said, hey, look, we're working on another movie. So I said, well, I've been doing Shaggy for Cartoon Network. She said, you have? I said, yeah. She says, can you send me something, overnight me something? So I did. And she went in and she played it for Davis Doy. This was for Witch's Ghost. Mm-hmm. And Davis goes, okay, that's Casey Kasem. Oh, that's Scott Ennis. And he goes, let Scott know he'll be voicing Shaggy and Scooby-Doo in this movie. And that's kind of how that started. And then, of course, I did Alien Invaders, Cyber Chase, and then, of course, every video game talking toy after that and every deal. But people might remember on Alien Invaders, I met by chance a girl in bell-bottom pants, and she likes to say, groovy. She came out of the blue, and in an instant I knew everything would be groovy. For her, I climb a mountain, swim the deepest ocean. I'd even help her shopping. It's the depth of my devotion. And even when we're chasing ghosts, we'd quit in time for dinner, 6 o'clock at the most. How groovy. Just us two, so groovy. Don't forget Scooby-Doo. Groovy. Our love will never be blue. There you go. Thank you.
My son loves that song, by the way.
I do too. I love your son. Check us out at onescottshop.com. Buy something today so I can eat some Scooby snacks tomorrow. Yeah. And remember, as they always say, keep your feet on the ground and keep reaching for the stars.
So, ladies and gentlemen, once again, a big thank you to our special guest star tonight, Scott Ennis. And like he said, and I'm saying too, go to his onescottshop.com, and you're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all that good stuff.
Not on Instagram. I haven't figured out how to do that. I'm on Graham Cracker. So no.
But go follow him. And
Graham Crackers.
And you did the groovy song a few weeks ago, and then you were reading some books too. You're going through your stuff. You were reading books.
Yeah, in fact, I think I'm going to get back to doing that. But I've been filming this movie, so once I get done filming this movie in a couple of weeks, I'm going to go back to reading a few books for the kids. But it's all fun. I didn't realize how much people really liked the book reading. It was different, So we're going to do it.
Awesome. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, once again, round of applause. Well, there's some round of applause right there for Scott Ennis.
Thank you.
And we'll be back tomorrow night with more IncrediChat. Scott, I'm just going to end the broadcast so you can hang out.
We'll be back tomorrow night because I'll be back on the show tomorrow night too. We're going to do a whole week series.
Anytime, Scott, anytime you're welcome to come and join us here.
Anytime, man. Hey, listen, thanks for having us, buddy. We appreciate it.
Cool. So again,
y'all be good. Joe, Victor, Noah, Anna. Well, Joe's like your biggest fan here, man. He's all over this stuff. David Cross. I love it. Yeah, David Cross was in that The Night of the Living Dude. Yes.
I'm checking.
So, all right, listen, you guys be good. I'm gone. I'm out. See you later.
All right, cool.
Bye-bye.
Oh.